Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today we are underneath the shed right now because we are standing next to our fertilizer pallet. We've got the tractor here and our fertilizer spreader because we're going to go out in the field, spread a little bit of fertilizer. So the way I end up normally doing this, if I've got 12 acres and I buy a ton, and typically, you know, I really need to put about 200 pounds per acre. But I've been putting more like 166 because it's just easier to buy 1 ton at a time. And it seems to have been working out really well for us. But this time we have a little bit less hayfield than what we have. So we're going to get closer to that 200 pounds per acre on there. So what I normally do is map out a section on an app that I have on my phone called Field Area Measure. And with that app, I can actually go out into my field and, you know, drive around it in the razor or on the tractor or something and be able to measure my actual acreage. So anyways, that's enough talking. Let's go ahead and start filling this thing up. We're going to head out into the field and start spreading a little bit of fertilizer. So I ended up going with the 50-pound bags because originally I was going to go get it in bulk, but when I got there, they said they didn't have nitrate to be able to mix it in bulk. So I was going to try it out just to kind of see how we could handle it. But since they didn't have it, I went ahead and got the bags because this is the only way they had the 1010. But the problem is with the bags are $200 more per ton than what buying it in bulk is. So with that in mind, you know, we decided to go ahead and get this because they didn't know when they'd have the nitrate back in order to be able to mix a custom mix, because we're actually talking about mixing some custom stuff, but they couldn't do that because, you know, not having it, they didn't know for sure when they'd have it, and I didn't want to take a chance on missing the weather window. And we usually use this 1010, and like I say, it's in the past it has worked really well. But that's 400 pounds right there, and we're going to go spread that on a couple acres, and then we're just going to come back and reload it and keep doing it over and over until we get finished. Where I usually have this thing set, I've got this little pin in here to mark where I always fertilize at, and that way it opens our openings up down here big enough to let the fertilizer flow good and be able to have a decent ground speed and get a good coverage. And so this pretty well works to where that it runs out pretty much right as I'm finishing up the 2 acres, so it's pretty much just about perfect. So let's go fire it up. Well, if you noticed, I made me a cover for the spreader for right now because this thing, once it starts getting a little bit empty, it just starts throwing that stuff everywhere, and it throws it all over me up on the tractor. So I thought I'd try to make a cover for it. I don't know how this is going to work, but I know it'll work for this time, but I don't know if I can take it off and put it back on. So I'm going to experiment with this a little bit. Maybe they make a cover for this, but if they don't, I'm going to get something that I can put over it and pull it down with bungee straps or something in order to be able to take it on and off real quick. So it needs some sort of a cover over this. So I'm going to kind of test run this and see if this idea is going to work. And if it does, then I may make a little bit more permanent solution and something, like I say, that I can make sure that I can take it and put it on and take it off in between loads pretty easily. So let's go try it out. I'm gonna see if I can pull this thing off of here now. I put black electrical tape around it, thinking I could stretch that tape a little bit and then pull it off. And I think that this might actually work. So yeah, that comes off pretty good. Now let's see if I can stretch it back on there. Oh yeah, that works like magic right there. So yeah, I'm gonna do that temporarily because this really made a big difference. So we got all of our fertilizer spread. Our cover for our spreader actually worked out really good. If you've never used your broadcast spreader before, you know, you wanna measure basically how many pounds you're putting in it. So if you're gonna do a few acres or whatever, and you're gonna put say 400 pounds in there at 200 pounds an acre, well, you can't keep an eye on your flow. And so if you have a 2 acre section, you know, like mapped out, you can't keep an eye on your hopper in order to see where your level's at. So you want to get that kind of stuff set first, because you need to make sure that you're putting, you know, your X amount per acre. Now this is another thing too. This is what I do. This is not what everybody should do. You should kind of base this on soil samples and maybe even somewhat of your local fertilizer place, because they actually can help you pick what kind of fertilizer to use and how many pounds per acre based on what types of grasses and stuff you have in your field. So anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, appreciate you hitting that thumbs up button. Also, if you have any comments or suggestions or anything of things that I could do different to improve my field and the way that I do things, feel free to leave those in the comments, because I'm a first generation farm and I'm just trying to learn as I go. So thanks again for watching, and until next time, keep it outdoors.